Welcome to the Pro Day 2 Round 5 preview. We reached the halfway mark. Apologies, I haven't done one of these for a while. Been pretty busy. But yeah, Pro Day 2 remains as unpredictable as ever. 1 week, it's away wins galore, shock defeats for some sides. Next week, it's all home wins and back to the old school Pro Day 2 boring expectations. So, what about this week? We were largely in agreement. I kind of changed my mind on a few of them. Because there's quite a few games that look like a bit of a toss-up, and they all get 2 weekends off, so they don't play until the 9th of January, I think it is, after this round. So we could see a few sides going full noise away from home, a bit of a rarity in Pro Day 2. Does that affect how we think these games are going to go? I don't know. Talking of not sending strong sides away, Brive didn't send a strong side away to Grenoble last week, which you would suggest means they'll go nearer to full strength this week. They have lost Sam Johnson for the rest of the season, unfortunately. He's very much still got it. He's their first choice 12. He was brilliant when we saw him back in September. Still a top player. Real international quality still. Brive are 100% at home. They've dished out a lot of hammerings as well. They're averaging over 4 tries a game at home, which is pretty impressive. Where are Agen? Well, truth is, we still don't really know, even after nearly half a season. Back-to-back wins, but that follows 4 straight losses. Ultimately, few sides can live with Brive at the Stade Amédée Domenech, and we are not expecting Agen to be able to live with them either. So Brive to win that one. Stade Niçoise v Grenoble. Wow, what a fixture for Nice to get just before the Christmas break. In the first round, after the gap has opened up at the bottom of the table to more than one win, they get top of the table. Grenoble coming to town. And Grenoble put Brive to the sword last week as well. The kind of scoreline flattered Brive a little bit. And Nice have quite comfortably the worst home record in the league. 1 win in 7. And they've only got 2 bonus points in those games as well, so they're not even getting that close at home. Grenoble haven't always picked the strongest sides away from home, but you just have to wonder about that gap in class between the two sides generally. Grenoble's squad seems to be so deep, and their kind of shags, as it were, their weakest side, still doing a job against some teams, and they're pretty competitive in a lot of games. There's no real logic that says that Nice should win this game. It's tempting because it's Pro Day 2 and you have to go against the logic, but we are both going for Grenoble in that one. Would really be mad not to be backing them against Nice. Provence are having a remarkable season. They are unbeaten at home. They're still winless away. Tight defeat away at Dax last week. They returned for a bit of home comforts. Valence, as I said on the podcast this week, also feels like they're having a bit of a weird season. I keep thinking they're having a really positive time. They're picking up wins. Their defeats have been quite narrow. They've got the highest point scorer in the league with Lucas Mere. They are ultimately only 5 wins from 14, and only one of those come away. So they're not actually doing that well. Could be some points in this. Could be a really entertaining game, but Provence will get more of them, and they will win that one. Soya Angoulême v Nevers, 2 contrasting weeks last week. Nevers got their 2nd win in a row. All of a sudden, their 12th. Bit of positivity. Sax v, our boys, went to Oyonnax full of hope. Best away record in the league against a team really struggling. And they got hammered. Dominated in every facet of the game away at Oyonnax last week. And they come into this game with only Nice with a worse home record. So they've got 2nd worst home record in the league. They've only played, part of that is they've only played 6 at home, most have played 7. And of those 6, they've won 3 and drawn 1, so it's not disastrous. One of those losses was to Brive as well, so really good team that. And Courtney Law's playing that one, so suggests they sent quite a strong side as well. They should win this. They have been fairly consistent. They've been more consistent than Nevers, certainly this season. They've got more options in their squad. Fundamentally, we think they're a better team than Nevers, and last week was just a blip. They will want to finish this block on a high. They're a really tight-knit group. They'll want to finish on a high before Christmas as a group, and for their fans. They could get stuck into Nevers at scrum time as well, so we're backing Sax V in that one. Aurillac v Dax is a really tough one to call. I don't think anyone wants to go to Aurillac in December. But then Dax don't really seem to be hugely bothered where they go. They've now got 4 wins in a row. Stade Aurillac isn't quite the fortress that it has been in the past for Aurillac. Can't quite gauge where their pack is at either. Been outmuscled in a couple of games, but then seeing them muscle up at home as we would traditionally expect. Dax are grinding out wins. So an interesting one in this, Aurillac have actually scored 2 more points than Dax this season. But in the table, there is a 12-point gap between them and 9 league places, which actually says more about Dax not scoring that many points than they do get the wins, but they're not scoring many points. And actually, these two sides, the 4th and 5th lowest points in the league. So Aurillac are kind of roughly where they should be in terms of points scored. Dax are way above that. So their defence is really good. They're just grinding out wins, getting results. Rich is going for Dax. He really likes them. He does rate the fact that they can kind of grind out wins pretty much anywhere. I was going to go with them, but I'm going to back Aurillac. I think they are erratic, but this feels like one they could win and they could score quite a lot of points. I think they will do well in this one. Mont-de-Marsan v Béziers is another really tough one to call, mainly because Mont-de-Marsan are so erratic. They are the most unpredictable side in Pro D2. You only need to look at their last 4 games. Hammered away at Dax, winners away at Oyonnax, beating the seemingly invincible Grenoble at home, and then losing away at struggling Valence Romans last week. Unsurprisingly, they are a little bit better at home. They are starting to get it together at home, maybe. Béziers, are we sleeping them on them a little bit? We talk about every week how good and powerful Grenoble and Brive are, but Béziers quietly racking up the wins with some really impressive results. They're in 3rd, only 1 point behind Brive. In their 7 away games, they've got 3 wins and 4 losing bonus points. They've got something out of every away game, the 2nd best away record in the league. In Gabin Law, they've probably got the best player in Pro D2 right now, scoring wonder tries as he did last week. He's kicking goals from distance, he's kicking drop goals. Really tough one to call. Rich is going for Mont-de-Marsan. They have beaten Brive, Grenoble and Biarritz at home this season, which is 3 of the top 4 before the points deduction. I've got a hunch that Béziers can do it and prevent Mont-de-Marsan from making it all top 4 sides. Could be some cracking rugby in this. Both sides play real attacking flair when they're on it. Mont-de-Marsan v Oyonnax is a really tough one to call again, mainly because of Oyonnax's result last week. Does that suggest they finally turned a corner? That was kind of Oyonnax living up to their collective reputations. They were dominant against Saxe-Fils in every facet, in the way that we kind of expected them to be throughout the season. However, they haven't won yet in their 7 away games, and they've only got 2 losing bonus points. They're not even getting that close. For Montauban, are they just starting to stutter? Maybe 3 defeats on the bounce after that brilliant start to the season. They lost their last home game against Saxe-Fils. They are, before last week, and still the best away side in the league, so maybe that's not that bad. They are scoring some wonderful tries, and they've been pretty brilliant at home generally this season. Oyonnax's defence has been poor at times. We don't know whether that's a mindset shift after last week. Was that the kind of defence getting back into gear, getting good again? I think there's a chance that USM Montauban could cut them to shreds. I think that's going to happen, so I'm going for them. Still can't get beyond that dreadful Oyonnax away record. Rich does think Oyonnax have turned a corner. He's been backing them to do it for weeks. He's been backing them away from home pretty much every week, and he's backing them away from home yet again. Colomiers v Biarritz is another interesting one, mainly because Biarritz come into this in what would be 4th place, but they've been docked 5 points. It relates to when they got taken over last season. We mentioned it at the time. The regulator was looking into them because they hadn't provided the proof of funding documents. The new ownership hadn't provided the proof of funding documents on time, and they kind of assured that they had the funding, and ultimately they did because they've taken over the club. But the delay in providing the info has meant that there is a 5-point deduction. Feels pretty harsh for basically an admin error, from what I can tell. Takes the shine off what has otherwise been a really positive start to the season for Biarritz. Colomiers, their woes kind of continue. A loss away at Nevers last week. Quite winnable game, that. Still only now 2 wins in their last 9. But there are a couple of glimmers of hope for them in this one. They are 4 wins and a draw from their 6 home games, and they lost to Beziers and they drew with Saxe-Fils. So the 2 best away sides in the league are the only sides they haven't beaten at home this season in their 6 games so far. Biarritz aren't that great away from home. They don't tend to send particularly strong sides. Maybe they will this week because of the 2-week break, but they're only 1 win and 1 bonus point in their 6 away games. That's not great. And finally, it's the late Friday kickoff factor. 14 wins for the home side in the 14 rounds so far in that late Friday kickoff. So we are both going for Colomiers. It will be interesting if Biarritz do send a slightly stronger side with that break coming up. And with that point deduction, can that rally them? Can they kind of unite behind that kind of hardship, that adversity? But we can't get away from the stats and that late Friday kickoff factor. Strong argument for a lot of home wins in this season for this weekend, but the winter break throws it all up because will sides send their stronger sides? Will your side put out their strongest side? And which sides will be having a joyeux Noël? Let us know what you think in the comments and give us a like, give us a subscribe.